So let's start by creating a new project. Let's select blank project and click finish. So let's save the project. And let's create a new folder for the new project. Let's call it containers. Let's go inside and save the project as containers. So let's create a new VI. Let's save it. Let's call it programming a tab control. And let's start by placing a tab control from the layout palette. Let's place some objects on it. For example, let's place just for demonstration purposes. So let's start by placing a stop button on the front panel. And let's go to the block diagram and let's start creating the code. Let's start with the while loop. Then let's place a event structure. Let's start by adding an event case for stop button, and when this button is pressed, we will be closing this VI, stopping the loop and closing the VI. Next, we would want to let's program something to change these texts, and we can't change the labels. We can change the only the captions, but we can do that programmatically only if this setting is turned off, which says make page caption match label. So let's turn it off. Then let's place a string control and let's call it page 1 caption text. Let's have another one. Let's call it page 2 caption text, and let's have a button which when we press, let's call it change captions, and let's save this text here. Let's hide the label and let's go and program it. So when this button is pressed, let's add a event case for change captions boolean button. So when this button is pressed, what we want is, but before that we would need to have an access to the pages of the tab. For that, right click the tab control. Let's go to the properties and let's select pages. So now we have access to the pages. And here is the array of references to page. But before we use this, let's extract these references. Since we have 2 pages, let's extract 2 references and pass them on into the event structure for wherever we want to use it. Let's right click, create property and tab caption. Let's make it writable. And let's create another copy of this property. So we will change both captions of both tabs using these controls. Let's connect them up. Let's connect the error wires. Let's pass this error wire out and let's create a simple error handler. And further, let's select OR. Let's connect this error wire and this stop button to the conditional terminal of the while loop. So let's go and check how it looks. So we are starting tab 1, tab 2 as the text. Let's press the button. So the page 1 is now replaced with caption tab 1, and page 2 is now replaced with caption page tab 2. So let's add some more functionality. Let's take a color box. Let's call it tab 1 color, and let's have another one, and let's call it tab 2 color. Let's have a button. So let's call it change colors. Let's copy this label and paste it. Let's hide the label and let's go to the block diagram. Add a new event for change colors value change. We already have our properties, so let's go to the property node and from there the foreground color. Let's change it to writable. Let's have so let's create a copy. Let's connect the references, the error wires, and pass the error wire out. Then let's bring in the two controls. And connect them to their properties. And bring the control in as well. Let's clean up the diagram. And let's go and check. So let's set the color for tab 1 and for tab 2. Let's run the VI. Let's press change colors, and the colors have changed as we desired. So let's go to the block diagram and let's have another property which is page enable state. Let's create a control. Let's call it page one enable state. Let's create a event for it. Let's take both of these inside, place them, change this to writable, and connect it. Since this is for page 1, connect the reference, error wire, and let's create another one for the page 2. So let's call it page 2 enabled state, and let's just disconnect the reference and connect it to page 2. Let's go to the front panel, bring our controls here. Let's run the code. Let's select page 1 to be disabled and grayed out, and so it has, and same for the, and then let's enable them back on. So let's add more functionality. Let's create another property for page visible. Let's create a control. Let's add a event case. Let's make it page 2 and connect it to page 2 reference, and the error wire in and out, turn it to writable, connect the wire and insert a not function. Let's clean up the wire, the diagram. Let's go to the front panel, bring this down over here. Let's run the VI, and if we turn this on, page tab 2 should become invisible, which it does. So let's turn it back on. It's now visible. So let's add a new functionality. Let's go to tab location. Let's create a control for it. Let's create a new event case for tab location value change. Let's bring these two in, change to writable, and connect. Let's pass the error wire, clean up the diagram, go to front panel, and bring our control, let's say, over here, run the VI, and tab location, let's turn it from top, which these are at the moment, to the bottom. And now turn it to left or turn it to right. And lastly, turn them back where they belonged. So let's add one more. Let's go to and justify tabs. Let's create a control. Let's add a new event. Bring these two in. Change to writable. Connect the wire. Connect the error wires. Clean up the diagram. Go to front panel. Let's bring this over here. And let's see what tab justification do. So if we turn the tab justification on to keep an eye on these two, then they take up the whole space. If we turn them off, then they take up a limited space on one side. So we had placed these controls on the side just for demonstration purposes. So let's run our VI one last time, and let's change the captions. Let's change the colors. Change colors. Let's enable disable. Page visible or not. Page 2. Location. And justify or not. So this is all for now. I hope this helped you. Thanks for watching. So two more things before I conclude this video as afterthoughts. One is regarding the change colors. By default, the tabs do not allow changing of having multiple colors on the different tabs. So if you run the VI and you try to change the colors, nothing will happen. So to allow different colors on different tabs, you have to enable this property, this setting, by going to advanced and then make allow multiple colors. When you do that and you run the VI, then you can choose the colors of your choice and then apply them. Otherwise they will not apply. And the second thing is that if you would want a particular button, let's say you have a button and you would like it to be present on both tabs. If you drop this button inside the tab, then it will become part of the tab where you dropped it and will not be visible on the other tab. So you could use either you could place it outside, or you could use a little trick instead of dropping it, you just place it and you expand the tab underneath it. as you can see, there is a little shadow beneath the button. It indicates that this button is not present inside a tab but is overlapping the tab control itself, and therefore would be visible on both tabs. So if I run the VI, then even the shadow would disappear. It was only for the programmer at the added time. So this button would be visible on both tabs.